You found your way to Whispers of Crimes, a quiet corner where the shadows of the past are gently told. Here, we speak of real crimes and mysteries, not to shock or scare, but to wonder, to reflect, and maybe to help you fall asleep. So close your eyes, let your thoughts slow down, and come with me into tonight's case. A respected police officer, John O'Keefe, was found dead in the snow, battered, bruised, and alone. Within hours, investigators zeroed in on one woman, his girlfriend, Corinne Reed. What followed wasn't just a criminal investigation. It became a firestorm of accusations, conspiracy theories, and a community ripped apart. Was it a tragic accident, a deadly fight, or something even darker? This is the story of the Corinne Reed retrial, a case where the truth seems just out of reach, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Chapter 1, the night it all began. It was January 29th, 2022, a cold, snowy night in Canton, Massachusetts. John O'Keefe, a respected Boston police officer, had spent the evening with friends, including his girlfriend at the time, Corinne Reed. According to the prosecution, sometime during that night, Corinne dropped John off outside the home of another officer, Brian Albert, but something went terribly wrong. John O'Keefe never made it inside. His body was found the next morning, face down in the snow, badly injured. The autopsy showed signs of blunt force trauma, hypothermia, and multiple abrasions. Almost immediately, suspicion turned to Corinne Reed. Investigators claimed she had struck him with her SUV while dropping him off, either accidentally or intentionally, and then left the scene. But from day one, Corinne Reed and her defense team insisted there was more to the story. They claimed John's injuries didn't match a hit and run. They suggested he was harmed inside the house and then left outside to die. And they said if their theory was true, then a cover-up was already in motion. Chapter 2, the first trial and its collapse in 2023. Corinne Reed faced her first trial, charged with second-degree murder and other serious offenses. The prosecution focused heavily on physical evidence, fragments of a broken taillight matching Corinne's vehicle found near John's body, location data from her phone, and even her emotional, sometimes panicked behavior that night and in the hours afterward. They painted a picture of a reckless, possibly intoxicated woman who made a tragic mistake and tried to cover it up. But the defense struck back hard. They pointed to inconsistencies in police reports, missing phone data, and the possibility of contaminated or even manipulated evidence. Corinne's lawyers argued that investigators, some of whom were friends or relatives of people inside the house that night, could not be trusted to tell the full story. And the public? They started picking sides fast. Outside the courtroom, protesters rallied for Corinne Reed's innocence, claiming she was the victim of a massive police cover-up. With all the chaos, leaks, and public pressure, the first trial collapsed. The judge declared a mistrial, and a retrial was set. Chapter 3. The evidence war as the retrial begins. It's clear that the battle over evidence is the center of everything. First, the taillight. The prosecution argues it's undeniable proof that Corinne hit John. They say the broken glass pieces found at the scene match her Lexus SUV perfectly. The defense fires back, arguing the evidence was either mishandled or outright planted. They also say that the nature of John's injuries, bruises, abrasions, and head trauma don't align cleanly with being struck by a car, but rather hint at an assault. Then there's the phone data. Corinne's texts and calls from that night show confusion and panic, but critics argue they also show possible guilt. Meanwhile, the defense points out missing data from others at the party, suggesting that evidence helpful to Corinne's case was either hidden or destroyed. Every piece of evidence seems to raise as many questions as it answers. And every answer seems to depend on which side you believe. Chapter 4. Conspiracy or desperation? One of the biggest divides in this case is the question of conspiracy. Curran's defense argues that John O'Keefe was injured inside Brian Albert's home, possibly after a fight, and that powerful people worked together to hide the truth. They point to relationships between the local police, paramedics, and people at the party that night. They question why certain witness statements changed over time and why key evidence was never collected or was delayed. On the other side, prosecutors argue that the conspiracy theory is a desperate attempt to muddy the waters. They say there's no solid evidence of a cover-up, just speculation, rumors, and a distrust of authority fueling internet hysteria. To some, Karen Reed is a scapegoat. To others, she's someone trying to shift blame to save herself, the truth. It remains tangled in a web of conflicting stories and suspicious circumstances. Chapter 5. The Power of Public Opinion. One thing that makes the Karen Reed case different from most is the overwhelming public involvement. This case exploded on social media. Supporters launched Facebook groups, organized protests, and flooded public comment sections with theories and demands for justice. Videos breaking down every moment of the case went viral. Meanwhile, critics of Karen Reed say the frenzy has made it almost impossible to have a fair trial. Potential jurors, judges, even witnesses have all been caught up in the wave of publicity. In some ways, this retrial isn't just happening in a courtroom. It's happening online, in real time, with thousands of people acting like jurors from their homes. Chapter 6. What's different this time around as the retrial unfolds? A few key differences are shaping the new trial. First, both sides have adjusted their strategies. The defense is bringing in new forensic experts to dispute the state as crash reconstruction and blood evidence. The prosecution has narrowed their focus, trying to keep the case cleaner and more direct. Second, jury selection has been especially intense. Finding jurors who haven't heard about the case or formed strong opinions is nearly impossible. The court has had to take extraordinary steps to screen out bias. Finally, there's a new sense of urgency. For Karen Reed, everything is on the line. Her future, her freedom, her reputation. For the state, a second failure could damage public trust beyond repair. This time, the stakes feel even higher than before. Chapter 7. What's at stake for everyone? At the end of the day, this case is about more than just one verdict. For Karen Reed, it's about life or death. A guilty verdict could mean life in prison. For John O'Keefe's family, it's about justice and closure after unimaginable loss. For the town of Canton, it's about restoring trust in their institutions or possibly confronting uncomfortable truths. And for the public, it's a stark reminder of how messy, complicated, and emotional criminal trials can become. The Karen Reed retrial isn't just about guilt or innocence. It is about how we decide who to believe, and whether we're willing to accept the answers we get. One thing is certain, no matter the outcome, this case will leave a mark that lasts far beyond the final verdict. That's all for tonight's story. Another thread in the web of true crime, quietly unraveling as the night goes on. If you're still with me, thanks for listening. And if sleep has already taken you, may your dreams be peaceful and your mind at ease. I'll be here next time by the fire with another story waiting to be told. Good night, and don't forget to lock your doors.